All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Combat Theory. Today, I wanted to talk about something that's often overlooked, and that is initiative. Most players can easily overlook this because it's not a visual. It's not a visual thing that you're often seeing. Most players will just pay attention to what you can see, which is spell combinations, raw damage, and builds. Which isn't wrong by any means. You should be looking out for those things, but you should also be looking out for initiative and why it's important. Because once you start playing on harder difficulty levels, and especially in honor mode, you are severely punished for loss of control. And the first step into lose control is to lose initiative. So today I wanted to take some time to just explain what initiative is, why it's important, and how you can take advantage of it in order to have a successful run and a successful honor mode run if that's what you plan to do. So, what does initiative actually do? Well, it determines player order, and because of that, it also affects who takes uncontested actions, who keeps concentration, and who is disabled before acting, and which mistakes, can be forgiven, let's say. This is done by rolling a d20 at the beginning of an encounter. It also takes into account your dexterity modifier, flat initiative bonuses like elixirs, any equipment you have on, and any advantages or disadvantages like curses or something along those lines, if applicable. And why is it so important? How does it help you win fights? Well, if we think about it, if your party's going first, priority targets can be easily disabled. Casters can be silenced. You can hinder them prone, subdue them. Squishy characters can just eat damage. You can easily just eliminate a target and end a turn with a single high crit. And another thing that really shouldn't be forgotten is that if you go second, you risk breaking your concentration. You risk, your softest characters getting eaten alive with raw damage, and you can easily just end your whole run with a single misstep like that. Because after that, recovery is often very limited, and mistakes just easily compound on each other. And that's why initiative is about stacking first turns across multiple characters, because 4 characters acting in unison consecutively without interruption is just a clear way of winning an entire counter. So in order to consistently secure that first play position, what you want to do is take advantage of turn clustering, because when your initiative is significantly higher across the board as opposed to your enemies, you'll consistently be first in every encounter. And turn clustering is essentially a term I'd like to use where control leads directly into damage. Your setup, it can be immediately exploited to your benefit, and you're taking away any advantage your enemies have, and they'll just never be able to regain tempo after that. That's really why stacking is very important, because it's stronger than just spreading initiative thin across the entire party, because you're trying to force sequencing at this point to secure your position. Okay, so now I wanted to talk a little bit about dexterity. Dexterity contributes to initiative. That's pretty obvious. What's less obvious that if you only focus on dexterity, you're kind of setting yourself up not for failure, but like you're hindering yourself a bit, because it requires abilities, score investment, feat pressure, as in you have to be very careful which feats you choose in order to raise your initiative. And you could risk build compromises, with someone who doesn't really benefit from dexterity at all outside of the initiative standpoint. So this is why you really should be thinking about boosting that with flat initiative bonuses that come from elixirs, and weapons and other things you might pick up along the way in the game. Because after all, I guarantee you a character with 14 to 16 dexterity plus some flat initiative bonuses will often and very much go before a 20 dexterity character with no bonuses at all. This is why initiative isn't, quote unquote, a dex build concept. It's a party planning concept. So you should be thinking about the group and how you'll be able to raise that across the board without giving yourself handicaps by only focusing on dexterity or something along those lines. And I guess this would be a good time to mention a few good sources on initiative that would be very helpful, that I personally found very helpful in my playthroughs of the game. The first one, obviously, that I have to mention is the feat alert. You can get this very early, and it is kind of a known thing throughout the community that at level 4, especially in honor mode, you should be picking up feat, the feat alert, because it'll give you an immediate bonus of +5 initiative, and you can no longer be surprised by enemies after that. And at level 4 at the beginning of the game, that's your biggest hurdle, is just getting those few levels up. So I would highly recommend picking up alert at that level. Some other good options are, one of my favorites, the Elixir of Vigilance. This guarantees that you act first in combat. It also completely eliminates you being surprised, and it lasts until long rest. I will note, though, that it is not a great option if your build requires you to have another elixir, because it will cancel out other elixirs. But if you're not using any other elixirs throughout, your gameplay, I would highly recommend using Elixir of Vigilance on a character that might need it. As far as weapons go, the Hellrider Longbow is a great option. It gives you +3 initiative. That is the highest one in the game, I believe. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But the next bow that gives you initiative, it only gives you a +1, but I mean, a +1 is still a very good bonus, is the Bow of Awareness. It's a smaller bonus, but it stacks. You can stack initiative bonuses, obviously, but I would still take advantage of that. Another one too is the Sentinel Shield, because it gives you an advantage on initiative rolls and on perception rolls. So this is an amazing thing to have equipped on a cleric or a paladin. And last but not least, and definitely equipped on one of my characters in every run, are the Gloves of Dexterity. The Gloves of Dexterity are amazing because they set your dexterity to 18, so you can equip these on a character that either does not benefit from dexterity, so you can put all your points in, the attributes that you need, and then save all those points that you would need to put into dexterity. You can just dump them in something else and then put the gloves on, and now you're evened out. And in fact, you'd probably have an advantage with that. You can also put these on a character where your dexterity is your main thing, and that gives you, the advantage in other areas that might need some padding, whether that be strength with its jump distance improvement, and obviously your carrying capacity, so you can make that your pack mule character. But I love these gloves. I think they're great. Definitely consider them. So at this point, I think it's probably a good idea to hone in the idea that initiative is very important, but in the end, it really is only going to matter if your first action is spent wisely, because a character who wins initiative, but you spend your turn repositioning, now you've lost your tempo. Your high ground, line of sight, and threat range should be established before combat begins. And another thing to mention is surprise. If you're ignoring being able to surprise your targets, you're kind of putting yourself at a disadvantage and risking not being able to take that initiative. This also brings me to the element of surprise, which we definitely should not be overlooking. By taking enemies by surprise, you're stripping them of their most important move, their first move, their opening sequence. Surprise attacks with initiative compress their mistakes so much that that's why I believe it's the strongest opener in any encounter. And if you're using summons, I highly recommend that you use them and summon them before battle, because when you summon before battle, your turn order density shifts. So the AI looks at your party and how many members in your party. So if you have like your mage hand cast and then a summoning, if you're summoning a raven or you have another character with a summons, now you've had your 4 party team turn into 6 just because of that, which raises your initiative. So that's something I definitely keep in mind as well. Some honorable mentions would be some spells that, while not directly boosting initiative, they do kind of act in a way like that because of what you're doing to your enemy. So if you cast Hold Person or Command Drop or any spell that's going to render someone prone, like Grease, Darkness, Ice, anything like that, those are going to immediately strip their first turn away and just give you that turn by default. So now let's talk about some very common mistakes and some very simple ways to fix them. The first one being that you only have one fast character in your party. I would really explore options on how to spread the initiative. You know, you have your fast character, but also find ways to boost the initiative in your other characters. You know, chasing DEX alone, we did cover that just a minute ago, but I just wanted to reiterate that, like, please don't chase dexterity alone. Use other options, you know, give yourself an advantage. Don't make things harder for yourself, make things easier. Don't hoard your elixirs. It's very easy to do that. I used to do that all the time when I first played. I was like, okay, no, I'm just going to save this elixir and this potion for when I really need it. But turns out the encounter I had, I really needed it. So don't be afraid to use them. They're there for a purpose. Just use them. Always pre-position. That's the next issue, is that you win initiative, but then you're wasting that turn on repositioning. So try and just focus on your position that you want to be in at the beginning of a battle, and ensuring that you're in the place you want to attack from when you start. And last, that we also just went over, is surprise. Try to keep that in mind. I know it's hard to like keep a dozen things in the front of your head, but surprise would be one of them. It's very important. And I thought it would be kind of funny and very much appropriate to include a quote from Dune. I love this book series, and I think this just fits perfectly in what I'm trying to say, because its initiative, I think, is about removing options before they even come up. And initiative is actually one of the few systems you can completely control. So if you decide who acts, you decide who wins the fight based off of that. And that's where most fights are decided, at the very beginning. So thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. Check out my Twitch channel. I hope you guys enjoy it. See you next time. Bye. Oh, and also real quick, in my last video, I included gameplay footage that I ironically did not check the mic status, so the commentary was completely removed from it, which is my fault. I do have more gameplay footage. I don't know if I'll include it here. I do need to get better at the commentary. It's still a little awkward for me, so I do apologize about that. But if it's not included in this video, I will upload it separately, hopefully with, you know, some decent commentary. Thanks.
Be patient, child. Soon. Why does Baldur get all the finest weapons? A weapon.
What do I have to lose?
My sweet.
time has come. Come on. Can't stay idle.
This feels good. With finesse, the lance board is set. Silent spell.
Nothing important is ever easy. Time to press ahead.
Shall we dance? This way.
Need to stay focused. Might be worth a look. Hells. They're displaying murder victims openly.